The Trump machine is happy. National Guard members were shot today. They are happy. They are giddy over it. And for Trump supporters who are not in the machine, people who are not in politics, you might be voting for different politicians. You might consume media in politics. I'm going to lay out my positions here, but I am not confident you have the ability. I'm not confident you have the ability to critically think for yourself. I really don't know. The Trump machine, they did not take even a moment to think about who got shot, their families, who the shooter is, before pouncing on narratives for their own political gain. The shooter is a Afghan national, okay? He came to America in 2021 under Joe Biden through a program where America welcomed Afghans who supported our military. So translators sharing information and other official operations that America worked on with the Afghanistan government. We were propping up there largely. There's a program to help them come to America because we wanted to repay them, essentially. So the person came here under Joe Biden. But that same man that did this shooting applied for asylum in December 2024. Okay, December 2024. And that asylum claim was approved. He was fully vetted, re-vetted. Okay, he was vetted when he came to America under Biden. Remember, vetting, you can vet somebody. They might have no criminal record at all, and they might do a crime someday. Vetting is not perfect. The world is not a utopia as much as MAGA wants it to be. Okay, under Trump in 2025, he was approved for asylum in America under Trump. So vetted under Biden, approved for asylum under Trump. In terms of violence, the idea people would say Democrats are responsible. All these people saying the blood is on Democrats' hands and liberals' hands are pathetic, weak, vile pieces of garbage celebrating the possible death of these honorable American service members because they think it'll benefit them politically. Any random person in America can do a crime, and the Trump machine will blame every one of their enemies, no matter what. You got to be dumb or evil to make the claim that liberals did this, or even Muslims did this. Remember, the person who shot Reagan did it because they were in love with an actress and wanted to impress her. People that do these terrible actions do not usually make sense. And we just had a Christian terrorist, Trump supporter, born and raised in America a few months ago. He shot up a Mormon church. He shot up a Mormon church, okay? He shot up that church, killed, I think, almost a dozen people, maybe more. He burned that church to the ground with American flags on his pickup truck. He burnt that Mormon church to the ground in Michigan a couple months ago. That is Christian terrorism. That was a Trump supporter who did that. Acting like violence is a part of or is owned by any ethnicity, any background, any religion is extremely evil and disingenuous. Okay? The only party to officially endorse violence in America when it comes to civic participation is the Republican Party with January 6 pardons. And I know that you depraved assholes have driven the conversation into the ground to the point where we can't talk about January 6th without you laughing it off. All those cops beaten to a pulp on that day, multiple cops dying from traumatic brain injuries, PTSD, dying from suicide after the fact. All of them pardoned. Many of those people pardoned from January 6th went on to be child predators. They were former child predators, and they went to reoffend. A guy a couple weeks ago, he told an 11-year-old boy, he used his pardon as leverage to molest this 11-year-old boy, a huge Trump supporter pardoned by Trump. He told the boy that Trump was going to give him a huge payout because of how the American government wronged him. He beat up cops at January 6th, and then he went to assault little boys. Okay? Trump pardoned that person, a known criminal. You can vet somebody like Joe Biden did. Okay, let him in the country, helped out in Afghanistan. You can vet that person. They might still do a crime in the future. Donald Trump, that same person, he can vet him again. You can re-vet it. You can re-vet the same people under the Trump administration. And that person can still do a crime in the future because nothing is perfect in this world. And the people calling for more political chaos, more left versus right fighting over issues like this, they are depraved. They are evil. That is the definition of evil. They want a state in America where you cannot speak out against the Trump regime, or all evil that happens in the world is your fault. You can criticize the president and all these Democrats who came out to criticize Trump, giving possible illegal orders, shooting protesters, bombing random civilian ships, fishing boats, seizing ballot boxes and voting machines. When Democrats said two military members Do not follow illegal orders. You do not need to follow illegal orders. Okay, that's all they said. They criticized Trump. They were not attacking the National Guard, and in D.C., no Democrats even contested that, because in D.C., the president does have a legal right to use the National Guard there. But in other states like Chicago or not Chicago, that's not a state, like Illinois or in Maine and in Portland, Oregon. When we talk about, I was gonna say Portland, Maine. I'm messing up on locations right now. That means I'm a low IQ liberal. But yeah, in Los Angeles, messing up cities and states is super embarrassing. Those are deployments that are likely illegal. Some court cases have said they are illegal. They criticized the president for misusing the National Guard. If anything, there's been pretty fiery rhetoric towards ICE agents, not the National Guard. Do not compare ICE agents, those criminal thugs, to our National Guard, our actual service members, not these scumbags in ICE. Okay, not these scumbags in ICE. Blaming Democrats for this is depraved. Again, it's evil. It's purposely evil.
My great fellow
or blaming immigrants, or blaming Somalis, or blaming Afghans.
On the eve of the Thanksgiving holiday, 2 members of the National Guard serving in Washington, D.C., were shot at point-blank range in a monstrous ambush-style attack just steps away from the White House. They had been deputized as part of the most successful public safety and national security mission in the history of our nation's capital, the D.C. Safe and Beautiful Task Force, which has achieved an unprecedented reduction in violent crime and crimes of all type. This heinous assault was an act of evil, an act of hatred, and an act of terror. It was a crime against our entire nation. It was a crime against humanity.
Yeah, okay, so far, this is completely fine. Now, maybe Trump takes a moderate approach this time, because when Trump came out for the Charlie Kirk assassination, and he blamed liberals right away, it played terribly for MAGA. So maybe he's going to direct hatred somewhere else. This is somebody from another country, not tied to a party at all in any way, not an American citizen, so probably going to blame it on foreigners. But all the other MAGA accounts, all the other MAGA talking heads, media figures, other elected officials other than Trump. We'll see if he moderates here.
The hearts of all Americans tonight insane. Are with those 2 members of the West Virginia National Guard and their families. The love of our entire country is pouring out for them, and we are lifting them up in our prayers. As we are filled with anguish and grief for those who were shot, we're also filled with righteous anger and ferocious resolve. As President of the United States, I am determined to ensure that the animal who perpetrated this atrocity pays the steepest possible price. I can report tonight that, based on the best available information, the Department of Homeland Security is confident that the suspect in custody is a foreigner.
No, okay, so up to this point, there's nothing wrong with this statement. It should be the broad statement. This is a terrible act. We pray for the families, all that kind of stuff. Now Trump's going to go into the more political sense of it. But remember, again, this person came over after helping American military officials, I assume, in Afghanistan. He came here on a program under Biden, got protective status. Then he applied for asylum in America, and the Trump admin approved him, vetted him, and approved him to stay yet again recently, a few months ago. So acting like this is tied to Biden, or yeah.
Who entered our country from Afghanistan, a hellhole on earth. He was flown in by the Biden administration in September 2021.
Yeah, they're going to lie about the other part,
those
or just not talk
flights
about it.
That everybody was talking about. Nobody knew who was coming in. Nobody knew anything about it. His status was extended under legislation signed by President Biden.
So he's going to blame, although the vetting was done under the Trump admin, he's going to blame legislation signed under Biden to skirt responsibility for anything ever, because they're a bunch of punks.
Disastrous president, the worst in the history of our country. This attack underscores the single greatest national security threat.
The executive branch had to vet him and approve him for asylum, by the way.
The last administration let in 20 million unknown and unvetted foreigners.
It's not 20 million. It's more like 5 million. They have to lie about 20 million to scare people, because they need to lie to win. They need to lie to win. They need to lie to win. That's why they do it. They need to lie. And if you debate them down and you get them to admit it's only 5 million, well, there's too many anyway. They won't. I mean, yeah, they need to lie.
From all over the world, from places that you don't want to even know about.
And that's Border Patrol's number. Yeah, places you don't even know about.
No country can tolerate such a risk to our very survival.
A risk to our survival
example is
as a country.
Minnesota, where hundreds of thousands of Somalians are ripping off our country and ripping apart that once great state. Billions of dollars are lost, and gangs of...
In Minnesota, you live like 10 years longer than if you live in shithole Alabama. Okay, with all these Somalis, okay, you do much better than you do in Louisiana and Tennessee. You do much better in Minnesota than you do in any of these red states down south that are predominantly very, very, very white. Okay, it's really crazy to blame it on Somalis. Like, why are you bringing up Somalis in Minnesota about an Afghan national, bro? Like, and we know why. We know why. The MAGA online, there's a big debate between MAGA fans on the internet. Trump machine politics is essentially, the big debate is, should we hate Jews or Muslims? Literally, one of the main debates is hating Jews or Muslims. There's the Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson, JD Vance side that wants to hate kind of like the Jews. And then there's the Laura Loomer, the Randy Fine. There's that side that wants to hate Muslims. They were very mad Zoran was in the Oval Office, for example. And the former Al-Qaeda leaders and Saudi leaders, they said less about them, but still, they don't like Muslims. Okay, that's a big debate in their party. So Somalis, they're trying to say, oh, these are black, brown. I'm surprised they don't bring up other regions that would dog whistle here.
Somalians come from a country that doesn't even have a government, no laws, no water, no military, no nothing.
Why you talk about the other country they immigrated from? Like, there's American citizens who are from, their family came from Somalia, and you're gonna tie them to that? It's depraved. It's nonsense. It's bullshit. It's exactly what they did to the Irish. It's what they did to the Italians. It's what they did to every freaking group that came to America. These Klansmen.
As their representatives in our country, preach to us about our Constitution and how our country is no good. We're not...
How dare we preach about your Constitution, about our Constitution? Yeah, how dare
going to put up with these kind of assaults on law and order by people.
Okay, what, these kinds of assaults? Why are you talking about Somali when one guy from Afghanistan did a heinous act? Why are you trying to group every person you don't like into it? It's evil.
Who shouldn't even be in our country.
Evil.
We must now re-examine every single alien
you vetted.
Who has entered our country from Afghanistan under Biden. And we must take all necessary measures to ensure the removal of any alien from any country who does not belong here or add benefit to our country. If they can't love our country, we don't want them. America will never bend and never yield in the face of terror.
You can't say the truth.
At the same time, we will not be deterred from the mission these service members were so nobly fulfilling. That is why tonight I can announce that I have directed the Department of War to mobilize an additional 500 troops to help protect our capital city. We will.
And remember, they don't talk about police anymore. They will never talk about police. They want troops in cities because they want executive overreach and authoritarianism in cities. They never talk about law enforcement after they pardon the pedophiles who beat all those cops on January 6th. Okay, so they'll never talk about law enforcement and cops. They want to do executive authority. They want to do they want to bring foreign policy that's lawless to American streets by designating like cartels and gang members as terrorists and using laws from like 1790 and 1805 or whatever the hell to bypass our Constitution to go after people in America for a reason. They want the executive, they want the commander-in-chief to be using the military in American streets as much as possible. Why would they bring another 500 National Guard? Why? Is there an ongoing threat? No. Were they able to even do arrests? No. Were they armed? No, they can't be. Okay. They cannot do arrests. They cannot do civilian law enforcement. They're not trained for that either. But there's no talk about police. Why not increase police funding? Why not help cops be more prepared to keep the cities and the streets safe? Why not talk about cops at all? Because cops, police, are decentralized. The president himself cannot command them. They do not care about safety. They care about control.
Make America totally safe again. And we will bring the perpetrator of this barbaric attack to swift and certain justice if the bullets going in the opposite direction haven't already done that. During this time of the year, when we gather at home with loved ones, these two patriots were wearing the uniform of our country, patrolling the streets of our capital. They had taken a selfless oath to defend our nation against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And that is exactly what they were doing when they were gunned down in a savage attack. I want to express my extraordinary gratitude to every member of the United States military who is deployed tonight at home and abroad. I also want to thank the Secret Service and the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department for their work today.
You thanked the police, but in any of these conversations, it's never more resources for the police. It's never preparing law enforcement. It's never increasing cooperation. They always have to go back to more National Guard, more National Guard, more National Guard, more federal agents, more FBI, more DEA, more ICE. They need to go to the federal agencies 90% of the time. They'll still say a shout out to cops at least to pretend like they care. But I mean, the moment that police are not politically expedient for the Trump movement, they will drop police as soon as possible. They have already with January 6th. And again, January 6th, the Trumpers have desensitized what that shit meant, all right? They do not care about the violence that happened, okay? And if you are president and you legally sponsor that violence, and by the way, January 6ers were not only pardoned for January 6th, they were also pardoned for other crimes. So, like, for example, there's gun-related charges and assault charges. One January 6er tried using his pardon to get out of a child abuse, child abuse trial. I don't think it worked there, but in other circumstances, they have gotten the pardon to cover other federal crimes as well. It's a painful political environment to be a part of. It really is. Like, going on any social media site, Democrats did this, the left did this. It had nothing to do at all with politics. All right, in terms of left versus right, whatever, like, if you want to talk about policies after a tragedy, if there's a policy that Congress can pass, a law on the books to actually change, not the president issuing a royal decree that's going to do something, through authoritarian powers, but an actual law through Congress, then we can talk about that. I am 100% for, if there's a tragedy that happens, if there's a law we can do to change for the better, 100%. That is not politicizing things. But whenever there's a shooting anywhere, saying, oh, it's a Democrat that did it, that's insane. And the Christian terrorist who shot up the Mormon church in Michigan, they said he was a Muslim, like, right away. They said he was a Muslim right away. And there are mass shootings all over America, predominantly by white men. But the media won't talk about those. They will blow up every story that involves a Muslim or involves another race. Okay, they will not talk about every white guy that goes crazy and shoots people. It's like reverse. It is reverse wokeism. It's the opposite of woke. Like, it's painful to engage in this political environment. Like, it hurts your brain. It's like, wait, what? I'm responsible for this random Afghan national shooting our National Guard members, which is terrible and disgusting, but I'm responsible for why? Because I said something I don't like, because I had an opinion on the Constitution. Now all evil is owned by your political opposition because they want it to be. They're lying. It doesn't matter what it is, they'll blame the other side, which is the purest form of toxic politics. Please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. You can't back off of this. You have to keep on pushing the issue. You can't let them dominate the narratives and spread a bunch of bullshit everywhere. Because the loyal asswipers and King Asswipe are going to keep on wiping ass until the day they die. And we got to make sure they can't shit everywhere before. It doesn't make any sense, whatever.